It's a bad situation. It's going to get really bad.
It's gonna get worse.
No, it'll get better because we are going to, like you said, we only have one other hammer left.
We're alive now.
It's now 7 p.m. I call the July 8th meeting of the Frostburg Planning Commission to order. We will start our meeting with a roll call of members present.
Chad Paul.
Richard Russo.
Conrad Best,
Jeff Snyder.
Ray Race.
we have a quorum. As we begin, I would ask that anyone presenting business before the commission or individuals who want to comment on business before the commission or other concerns, please come forward to the podium at the appropriate time. State your name and address for the record. Each meeting is recorded, so please speak loudly and clearly. First item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes for the May 2026 commission meeting. You have a copy of the minutes in your packet.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I have a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. We approve the minutes from the May 2026 Planning Commission. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions.
Me.
Motion carries.
One abstention.
I wasn't
Oh,
here.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Can't vote on minutes when you're not here.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, citizens' comments. Matt, you're not here as a citizen, you're doing a presentation. And that's the next thing on the agenda is the presentation. Richards Farm Phase 1A, Fifth Amended Major Subdivision Plat, Final Plat Approval. You're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Matt Brewer, Bennett Brewer and Associates, 23 East Main Street, Frostburg. Here this evening on behalf of developer for the Richard Farms subdivision to present the final plat for the Fifth Amendment to this development. So the plat before us this evening received preliminary approval at its last presentation. The only real substantive change to the plat itself is the name of the interior circle drive there. It had previously been named Meeting House Circle in prior versions of the plat. And due to some 911 addressing elements, it was changed to essentially an extension of Fieldstone Drive. Those addresses had already been issued, so the plat was revised along with the construction documents accordingly to reflect that. Other than that, the plat itself is essentially the same as previously presented. There were some comments, but none that impacted the plat itself. Essentially, we're adding 11.6 acres to this development and 36 new single-family lots. If you can turn to the construction documents, please, David. Yeah, great. So at our last Last meeting, there were couple questions, about a couple different issues.
Thank you.
Three more
Thank you.
specific.
Thank you.
The first point of the discussion had to do with secondary ingress, egress to the development for emergency vehicles as reflected in the minutes. Since that time, the fire marshal has visited the site, done an assessment, and provided the letter that's been given to you here tonight. Essentially, the existing gravel access road that leads from the development down to the intersection of 936 and Cherry Lane is to remain in place in perpetuity as an all-weather access road capable of supporting fire department and emergency vehicles with a minimum width of 20 feet. And that will satisfy the NFPA requirements for secondary access to the subdivision, which was primary concern of the planning commission. The second issue, which wasn't reflected in the minutes, but the question did come up. Jamie, if you can go to page 205. Yeah, right there. The question came up about the stormwater management for the expanded area and how that was going to be handled until the remainder of this area north of section 5 would be built out. And so essentially right here, we're constructing a temporary bypass over to the existing storm drain system. That will remain in place until Moonlight Drive is extended in the next phase of this project. And at that time, this crossover bypass would be removed and the storm drain here would be continued on down Moonlight Drive and make a separate connection to the existing stormwater management pond down near about 936 on the existing farm lane. That structure was evaluated by the city and deemed to be sufficient for the build out of this phase of the project. The third issue raised by Planning Commission during preliminary plat approval was the status of any sort of community enhancements or improvements. If anyone's been by the development recently, you can see if they've installed quite a bit of landscaping and so forth. In addition to that, the project did apply for and was awarded some open space funding for some community amenities, essentially a small parking area and community pavilion, which would be constructed right here, essentially at the end of Fieldstone Lane, right there where the old bar scale is. And that's
Right there,
reflected
open space.
here in the attached documents. That work has been put out to bid according to the developer. They intend to start construction in September and complete that before the end of this calendar year.
Will the pavilion be available for rental, or is that just be privately owned by this group?
My understanding is it will be managed by the HOA. As far as whether it be rented or, I do not know that.
Okay, I would assume it had to be open to the public since open space money was granted to it.
Yes.
I was just wondering whether or not it was gonna fall to the HOA or to the city.
My understanding it would be managed by the HOA. In addition to that, since the last time the plat was presented, the construction documents for all the improvements for the streets, water, sewer, storm sewer, so forth, were submitted to, reviewed, and approved by the city engineer, who's has signed the construction documents. If you like, we can take a quick look through that. Yeah, so this kind of gives a pretty good overview there. You can see the portion of the project that'll be paved. So this part down here has already been built out with houses and paving, and this hatched area there is where we'll tie into the existing pavement, and that'll be extended down to Hartwood Drive, which is the main boulevard, and stub out for future crossing, and down onto future extension of Moonlight Drive. And so that will provide a paved loop around for not only residents, but emergency vehicles, fire trucks, ambulances, and so forth. And so the rest of this drawing set is details and profiles. And really, board, we can look through those.
Well, thanks for the update, Matt. And I was just noticing by the date on one of these letters, we're almost 19 years into this, or I'm sorry, 9 years, almost 10 years into this project.
Oh, yes.
Chris's letter here is dated 2017.
You started before then, though.
I think I submitted the first plat in 2005.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right? Wow.
Yeah.
Can't
It's a time. So, to me, it appears that he's addressed everything that we had discussed and asked him to look into.
Yeah.
Was there any comments from city engineering on the stormwater or anything else? Nothing for or against it?
Nothing that was
Okay.
given to me.
I don't see a problem with approving this and sending on for final plat. Have it signed. I'll make a motion if,
I have a,
unless you guys want to do more discussion.
I have a question, and it's more of an informational question, but, and if the project's been around this long, maybe it's already been dealt with by the commission, but I live in Braddock Estates on a property that's faces the open space across the valley, so to speak, from Pritchard. I was just wondering about the lighting over there, because, you know, as it's kind of developed, it's kind of changed. I mean, I close certain curtains now at night in the winter time because it's like living across from a shopping center. So I don't know, was there an approval of particular density of lighting or the types of, you know, like shining down to protect kind of night sky sort of things, or?
Yeah, so those are those type of lights. I mean, they do still emit, I mean, they're not invisible for sure.
Right.
You can see them. As far as the spacing, I mean, that's dependent on the type of light. That was all worked out some time ago, but the city agreed upon.
I'd venture to say that it's actually below what IEEE recommends for lighting requirements, because you're going to be surprised. There's very few places within the county that meet the recommendations for lighting. You know, even like Walmarts and stuff like that, they don't even come close to what they recommend. So there's always a give and take on that. I know from my end in dealing with it. And I could remember when the lighting was reviewed. That was some time ago.
Yes.
So, are you still participating? There was discussion at one time where you were participating with a plan with Potomac Edison, Allegheny Power. I think they were supplying the light poles and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if that was still going on or whether you accepted it or not, went your own way. You don't know?
I do not know.
I mean, I know there's no trees over there, which is part of the problem probably, but. It's just been kind of noticeable.
It's hard to hide that, yes.
Yeah.
I had a motion to approve, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Then moved and seconded, we approve the final, this is what, the final plat? Okay.
For
For
Fifth Amendment.
Fifth Amendment
Yeah.
for the Pritchard Farms Phase 1A. All in favor say aye,
Aye.
opposed nay, abstentions, motion carried.
We'll make a
Thank
note,
you, man.
Thank you.
for the file, Jamie,
Good.
the letters that he presented,
Mhm.
these should be included with each and every submission from now on. So just, I know you guys keep a running Pritchard Farms file
Mhm.
for houses and everything. You should probably keep that handy in case that comes up again.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, just a real quick question, if we can still venture there. I know in the last presentation, we had talked about, because I think as part of this, there are some of the development in the next phases will have multi-use structures. Do you remember?
Multifamily?
Multifamily, yes.
Potentially.
Okay, is that coming in the next phase? We're just looking, I'm just asking, is that what we're looking at coming next in the next phase? Just trying to, so when we have this again, when it comes in, sort of,
The applicant has not indicated
Okay.
that to me at this time.
okay. I mean, just looking on the, you know, what you're, on the proposal, that's sort of where we were, and I thought we were getting close to, I could not remember what number, I thought there was somewhere in the build out where once you got to so many single families, we had to get to, multiple resident structures, I thought.
That was part of the initial plan. I don't know how far along.
Yeah.
Maybe what we should ask for then, and I'll just kind of lead this out. So whenever you do your next submission, which we know will be coming, but we hope it comes, let's
Yes,
put it that way.
Yeah.
How about an update on the concept plan, on an overall concept, to keep everyone up informed? Because we're basing stuff off of human eyes
Memories,
for
yes.
years. And,
Sure.
you know, they'll kind of run together after a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Somewhere I just remember that in a conversation, and I thought it was a magic number on the number of units. I cannot remember what all was agreed to
it was,
in
yeah.
the very
it-
beginning. But just throwing that out there to something, when it
And
does
I'm not
come.
even- I'm not even sure we're not confusing the two different
I-
projects too. Because we had that same
Yeah,
discussion.
yeah.
No, he's right, that was proposed, that, yeah,
Okay.
there were several different
In the
concepts.
original,
over-
yeah, and I don't
over
know
time.
what concept plan we're actually dealing with now, and whether or not you're following your concept plan or not. As I
think
say,
all-
it might be
all of them
wise to
included
do an
some
update.
element of that, though.
Okay.
Might be wise whenever you guys submit the next one to do, you know, talk to Brandon, talk to him about doing an overall concept and bringing everything up to date. To update not only us, but also give the community a chance to see what's going on.
Sure, absolutely.
So, wish you guys the best of luck. It's
Thanks,
good
man.
to see buildings going up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
they're building fast.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
I'm keeping this. This is going in the file here.
Do you want those? Conrad's.
What's that?
I told him you could have that.
I got a second. You guys each want one?
Sure.
Okay, discussion items by the chair or members of the commission. I have none at the moment.
Yeah, I'd like to bring up something. I obviously missed the last meeting, and Jamie, there was something you put out on email about a reuse of, or a change in zoning possibility. I don't know if that was discussed or what. I looked through the minutes and didn't see anything. I thought it had something to do with FSU.
Oh,
I know what he's talking
yeah,
about.
the building, I can't think of the name of what they call it.
Cambridge Hall.
Cambridge, yeah, thank you.
Was it Cambridge or was it the brand new one?
No, it's Cambridge. It was
The older one,
Cambridge.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, mine's drawing a blank. I know it was the Housing Authority and I forget the other organization, but looking at, essentially having that not be a student housing building, but, like private.
Residential.
Repurposing
Yes.
to
Yeah,
open
repurposing.
residential.
Yeah.
How do we handle that if it's if it remains like, say, a leasehold estate with FSU? 'Cause I don't see FSU selling property.
It sounded like they were gonna, my remembrance of the conversation was at some point it was gonna have to come off the university's property. And if that became, then because at that point, we wouldn't have zoning over it, obviously, if it's on the university property. So the question was, if and when it comes off, how would we look at zoning that? How would we look at issues related to parking, shared parking?
That's
all of those
my
issues.
concern. My biggest concern on that is, 'cause, you know, I could see that going in, and I could see them giving just the footprint for the building
Yeah.
and not providing enough for the parking. And then next thing you know, you got people who don't want to pay for parking passes at FSU. Now they're parking out in the middle of the street, and you know what kind of confusion that's going to cause with the people who have lived around there for years.
Yeah, and I did bring up, in our, whether it was the total initial meeting, or at least the initial meeting that I sat in on, it's saying, you know, about the parking and how there can be off-site parking agreements, but it has to be within a certain distance as well, based on the zoning ordinance, so, while there is parking there, they have to, you know, ensure that that's provided for, amongst, other issues, like especially the ownership and like having one parcel that's like kind of down in the FSU campus area that we don't touch, you know, now it comes under our,
Yeah,
You
there's
know,
got to be
governance.
some tie to an existing public right of way
yeah.
that would become the city's. I would strongly encourage the city to make a stance on this, saying that, look, we don't want to inherit this after the decision's already been made outside of the city's ability to make comments on it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it needs to be clear that the city wants to be part of the process throughout the whole, which means coming in front of the planning commission so that the people outside of this room that live in our area know what's going on. Because there's stuff that's done at FSU that people don't know about it until the last minute, because they're not required to tell anyone. And Conrad's sitting there shaking his head, he knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, hey, listen, I renovated that building twice while I was over there.
But what I'm getting at is,
Yeah.
this thing could be converted over completely, ready to go, lock, stock, and barrel. Then they show up and say, hey, we need a subdivision.
Yeah.
Well,
That's,
it sounded like, I'm going by my remembrance of the conversation, that there was gonna have to be that agreement that it was switched out of the university property because of the way the grant funding was working on this. So it's a state grant. Oh, and it sounded like nationally, this was something that has occurred other universities where they've had, property that they could dispose of being switched over to, private.
we're seeing a lot of housing switch.
Yeah.
And we're also seeing a lot of what they call senior and gown, or they bring in an older community
That's what
in the
this-
middle of the thing. And
That's what the idea of this
That's
is.
Yes.
what the idea
That's
of
what
this.
the
Okay.
whole idea of this is. Even to the point, it sounded like in the conversation that there would be some assisted, I don't want to say assisted living, but assistance provided at it.
Yeah,
yeah,
So that's the idea. It's
a
more of that.
lot of them actually prepare meals for the people who live there and everything. So they encourage, you know, the older generation to go in with the
Yeah.
younger generation, sit and eat meals with them and that.
Yeah, I mean, the
So-
idea was that they would be able to utilize the Chesapeake Hall, the dining hall, and
It's-
different
it's-
things, and Again,
great.
I still think with, like Ray said, if you look at it, I mean, after we were done, I don't know if anybody else drove over, but I work over by there, so I drove down through, and I don't know the lower road where the apartments are, but there is vacant land in there. The city owns some property down in there where the stormwater is. And, that, at the end of that cul-de-sac would make a great location for parking. You could put parking in that lower lot that's still vacant. That might be a recommendation that we do. I think they're gonna have to look at more than what they were identifying as parking. That's just,
You're
second.
talking between your building and
Yeah.
and the fence line
Yeah,
there?
yeah, with the,
I think
there's,
I think that's a great big, water,
well, there
part of
is.
stormwater management.
There is, but if you run all the way out where the apartment buildings are, where Bobcat Court
Beyond
is, I
that,
think it
there's
is
a pretty
Bobcat
good
Court.
chunk,
There's a pretty good chunk
probably
of land
four
right
or
up against
5 acres
Frostburg's.
still left
Yeah.
in there that's developable.
Yeah, right up against where Frostburg's
I don't know who
Okay.
owns
fence
that.
line is.
I don't know if FSU bought the rest of
I
that or
don't think
not.
they did. I think it's
I
private.
think it's still in private
Yeah.
ownership.
I know they didn't own it when I left.
I think Frostburg's, it sounded like they were in a position where the amount of money it was gonna cost the state to either rehab it or tear it down is going to be both about the same. So they're looking for a
Yeah,
third
but,
option.
but right now, there's no reason to rehab it.
Yeah.
Because we
Stu-
just don't have the students in school.
Yeah.
But I think they did say, I think there's a governor initiative or something for this also under his housing bill.
I believe so.
Yeah, I thought that's what they were looking at, was that grant funding.
Is it,
Yeah, so it's that building right there, but if you come on up past where the stormwater is, I guess it's behind, yeah, right.
Yeah.
This bottom corner at the bottom of the cul-de-sac. I mean, there's room in there, again, it's private at this point, but yep, that lot right there. To me, that's where you would put your parking. And what is the distance that we require?
It's 400 feet, isn't it?
Okay, I think that would meet it.
yeah, I think there's certain stuff is 200 and others 400. I
400 in the central business. I think it's 400 central business and 200 Ellsworth. I don't know if we got 200 feet there, do we?
Do we have the option to do an exception on something like this?
It might, yeah, here we go, off-site. For serving residential uses may be placed 200 feet, non-residential can be 400. And then non-residential in the C3 district can be up to 800. Now, we could give a recommendation, but they likely would have to get that from the Board of Zoning Appeals, whether
Yeah.
that would be granted or not.
I don't even think that's something that can have a variance on.
Yeah, there's specific requirements,
That-
and if it doesn't meet them, then,
Yeah, 'cause generally, that's, when they're set numbers like that, they're usually not allowed to have a variance on it.
What is the next to unshared
Do
parking?
you recall if they had did they mention a number of units?
offhand, I
I
do not
don't remember it. I don't remember them saying it.
No, if they did, I don't remember.
Cambridge is the one that's
Yeah,
the closest to the pond, right?
yeah, right
Okay.
there. Yes, that's Cambridge.
Oh, that's the one that's got the dam breach against it.
Yeah.
The city never did take ownership of that pond. And neither did FSU. Technically, it still belongs to Jenkins.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I just thought the city owned it.
Even with it being on the property,
It's not on FSU.
I don't
It's
know,
on
this
Jenkins.
one's property.
this one?
Yeah, that
I
big
mean-
pond.
I don't know, I mean, not that SStat data is gospel by any
Yeah.
imagination.
Unless it transferred in the last 4 years, no, it's not
Okay.
not
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah, this could be inaccurate then. It's showing it as part of being on the FSU land, but there's
Yeah, because
plenty of other inaccuracies across the city, so.
tool and see what it is between the,
Where are we measuring from?
well, Cambridge, there's a side entrance and a back
I guess
entrance
the
to Cambridge.
corner of the building, I'd go from the corner of the building.
Yeah.
Corner of the
If
building
it's 250
to
feet,
just
we're not
this
gonna
property?
make a big deal.
Yeah.
But if it's
Yeah,
600
what do
feet
you
away-
got like to the corner? There's 250.
That's 258 feet.
Yeah, I think they can make it work.
And again, I think they were talking about allowing some of the parking to the lot below. Did they say like 18, whatever some of these spots were in the back of this lower lot on Sand Spring Run? Yeah, that
This one?
parking, yes, yeah. I thought they said that they would allow so many number of those spots.
I don't know how they're
dedicated.
gonna do that because that lot was expanded specifically for that building, which
I-
is not in use right now.
But it will eventually be in use.
That's true. But students can park up in the other lot. You know how that goes.
Yeah, yeah, I know, but
Well, that was, well, what they were sort of saying was I thought they said a number of spots that would be dedicated just for Cambridge. And then the other spots could be up in the big lot up on State Street.
But you understand where I'm coming from
Yes.
is, you know, as a city, we're going to be expected to take this over, which means eventually it's going to become your problem, Jamie. And you're going to have people complain, I can't park here, or, you know,
Yeah.
what's to say FSU said that, okay, well, we're completely full here. We now want to go back to keep our parking down here, and they're going to start moving
I
people
think, I
around.
mean, I would almost think they would have to deed that.
I don't know how you would.
Well, you just, like the same way they're gonna deed that building to the Frostburg Housing Authority.
So you really think they're going to parcel out
Yes,
50 spaces?
I don't know about 50 spaces.
But you know what
I
I'm
think
getting at,
some,
yeah.
some of the back lot, it sounded like,
That's what we would have to have them. Is
yeah,
have to
to me it would
parcel
have to
out.
be deeded,
Yeah.
part of the property.
Yeah, and then just have the spaces marked or
Yeah.
whether they, probably not gated,
400 yard
but
lease. We see
And
100
again, I
lease.
think what they would need to do is have any handicap, a certain number of handicap
Handicap
down
there.
here for right next to the building.
Yeah.
Everybody else is going to be up in, to me, you're gonna have to be at the end of
Yeah, because
Bobcat Court.
right now it doesn't meet handicap standards.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, when I was there, the handicap spaces were on the second floor.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But there was elevators too.
there was
Right.
an elevator, and then in the front and the back of the, or in the back of the building, there was an open plaza. There was an area of safe refuge that
Yeah.
they could get out of the building and then be taken down over. And we had
Thank you.
vacuum chairs, I think it was, something. They had a belt coacher thing, you set them in a chair and take them down the stairs and get them out.
Was there a time, I didn't join that meeting, was there like a vague timeline for this?
I honestly can't remember. It's been how long now since I was in the meeting? And I know that John and Patrick, I believe, have discussed more with the Housing Authority and the other organization that's slipping my mind. But as far as if they gave a timeline, I cannot remember, but I can look into it and
That's fair.
let you know if I find anything out.
And we move on, guys?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, accessory dwelling units.
Okay, so Maryland has passed a bill, House Bill 1466, dealing with accessory dwelling units, requirements and prohibitions. Essentially the prohibitions on how strict of regulations you could put on them, in an attempt to open up more abilities for accessory housing. They have passed this bill which requires municipalities to meet certain requirements when it comes to the accessory dwelling units, which just, even though I'm sure you know, but just as a refresher, I have up on the screen here, what accessory dwelling units are, detached units, it could be an attached unit outside of the home, an interior upper level unit separate from the rest of the house, or a basement unit above a garage, or even converting a garage, like kind of like a mother-in-law suite, you know, what have you. But yeah, so they are requiring municipalities to meet the, you know, different requirements as far as the maximum size of the unit in relation to the primary dwelling unit on the property, lot coverage, etc. Just off the top of my head, I know like one of the big changes from like how, because we already allow accessory dwelling units as part of the zoning ordinance. However, we limit them currently to 25% of the square footage of the primary residence. So this, once it would get passed and adopted, it would then allow that to go from 25% to 75% of the primary home. So it's almost like placing another full home on your lot. However, this is a requirement from the state that we do have to adopt these.
It just says, though, in such cases, jurisdictions should review those definitions for compliance with definitions and modify them as necessary. So they're actually saying that we basically can go from a 25% increase in density to a 75% increase in density by ADUs.
Is it may or shall, like the language? You have to allow 75?
Yeah, I would like to see
Or
the bill
up to
language actually on this one,
It
because
would be
I think this is a mistake.
not.
This pass, or is this just prepared?
No, this is
Not
law.
greater
This
than
is law.
That's why I said, let's see
75%.
what the bill language is.
Well, the fact that they give a definition
And
for
a separate
accessory dwelling unit.
yeah, I will send more information out. Like, this is just kind of the initial presentation to the planning commission. And I have more information, the actual bill itself that has the specific may or shall and such. I have all that. They put together, like, there's a frequently asked questions page on their site that goes through a lot of questions regarding what it is, what it, you know, what is required, etc. But yeah, I mean, it's my understanding that it would have to be, you know.
Okay, it looks like we still hold setbacks.
What's that?
We can still hold our normal setbacks, we just can't be more restrictive for ADUs. But our normal rear lot, side lots would be applicable. Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to read the bill,
Yeah, I will.
because I agree, may or shall, or be interesting how it's written.
Yeah, it is a big difference. based
Yeah,
on-
so this housing situation that we have, which it really has nothing to do with Western Maryland, is now being crammed, even though the state doesn't do zoning. I don't understand this. The state doesn't do zoning. They keep on telling us that.
Like statewide zoning?
Yeah. Wow, they might as well do statewide zoning if they're gonna tell you what the minimums are for everything else.
Yeah, and I mean, my initial thoughts were, okay, if we're going to increase, say if everybody that could do this did this, and they were able to place essentially an increase of 75% of impervious surface on their lots, but yet we're overly concerned with the Chesapeake Bay and stormwater runoff and all of that. I don't know how they came to this where they thought that this would be acceptable in that manner, at least.
Well, if you look at page 8, because the ADU Act defines and limits the maximum size of an ADU to 75% of the primary dwelling unit, local jurisdictions are not free to set their own maximum size standards. That sounds like shall.
Yeah, that's what my initial thought and reading of it was. But yeah, so there are hard requirements.
You know, we had problems with people worried about, in our R1 districts, people worried about having increased traffic because someone wants to have a small business in their basement. You know, we're talking, 2 or 3 trips a day. Someone wants to be a hairdresser or something like that.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about, 3 out of every 4 houses, you can have another house. Basically, actually, yeah. For every 4 houses on the block, you can add 3 more on the same road.
Yeah, you would.
And most of our R1s are big enough that you could put another house in the backyard and still fall within the setbacks.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was included, I believe, the part of, there's like a model ordinance.
How does that work with fire codes? Say you have a detached accessory dwelling unit. Whereas, right now, you put a house and you got to have a certain distance beside it or clear from the other house, or you have to have fire rated siding, fire rated windows, and all that. Is the same thing going to apply if it's an ADU on the same lot? If it could be under other, other ownership, can the ADU be sold as an individual lot then?
I would say that it would have to be subdivided and then
Yes.
that would become a primary structure. Because the whole point of the ADU is it would be under the same ownership. It's just you creating another housing, residential.
Just something you can lease. Yeah.
Yeah, that you can rent out, whatever. But yeah, if it were to ever change ownership, then it would, I would immediately say, that needs to be subdivided and that becomes a primary structure at that
Well,
point.
that becomes a huge issue because then you no longer have road frontage or anything else for most of the lots.
Yeah.
Unless,
it would have
unless
to
we bring in flag lots and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then what are we doing for water service and sewer taps? Are we gonna require a separate sewer tap? And right now, we require 1 water tap per building. But yet if it's under different owners, we're gonna run a second water tap in?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I mean, I
little
guess that
things.
is a really good question. I think we would want to make sure if we write an ordinance or write something, that it is very specific. It says that it cannot be subdivided.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
I think that's in our best
you could say it
interest.
could be subdivided, provided at the time of
Wow.
construction it meets all applicable subdivision requirements. So if you got a 2-acre lot and you want to put an ADU
Yeah.
on the 2-acre lot and just,
In that
it's a
case,
mother-in-law suite, it's
Yes.
far enough away that you can get your 30-foot setbacks in between the houses. Okay, yeah. Down the later, when other mother-in-law is no longer living with you, if you want to sell it, yeah, I don't see a reason why you couldn't do that, provided it met our
yeah,
subdivision ordinance.
that's probably the cleaner way of doing it.
Yeah.
You mentioned the city already allows ADUs now under different requirements, but some of these issues, have they been raised before about wanting to put it under different ownership? or that hasn't?
I have never.
They're usually too
experienced that.
small to do that. They're only 25% of the original building area.
Like
And
a
we
garage
figure
apartment?
the average house is like 2,000 square feet. You're looking at a 500 square foot, which is an efficiency apartment essentially.
Mhm.
Yeah, so yeah, I have not experienced that. If it has
So
happened. it
really,
has
you know, I
happened
could
a
put,
lot.
if I had the space, I
Yeah.
could put a, 2,000 square foot house in my backyard. I don't have the space. I don't have the space to park the 4 vehicles we got right now with the kids being home.
Yeah, I know.
One of the downfalls about living in town. But really, for the stuff in town, I don't see that being in our core districts.
Yeah.
I don't see that being an issue. It's the R1 and the R1A where this is going to be problematic for some people. What brought this on? Do you have any background information on this, Jamie? Was there anything? Because this is the first I've heard about this, and usually, MDP's pretty good about putting stuff out on their email blasts and that. I don't recall seeing much being discussed about this, and I certainly didn't see anything from our local people talking about this, our local representatives.
Yeah, as far as what, what spurred this or what initially, I don't know. I mean, besides the housing crisis and the lack of housing, but otherwise just downstate, somebody thinking this is the solution to all the state's housing problems, but, I don't know specifically.
Well, they mentioned about the sustainable growth policy there. Is that part of like smart growth and densification rather
Yeah.
than building out?
I mean, yeah, like, being able to figure out ways and, adapting properties, especially like whenever say it's an R1 property and it's how many acres or, in
Yeah.
town, there's not like massive lots, but, some of them.
We're getting to the point where we're going to be like Washington County and or even Garrett County. We're about the only county up this way that doesn't require a formal site plan for a house. The sketch is all you need to show that it comes in the setbacks. They don't even need to have a property survey or anything. Garrett County is a lot different. Garrett County requires you to have your property surveyed, corners marked, and the house shown on the plat, grading done, stormwater management design done, all before the house construction can start. And then they want the house staked out. They go out and look at the stakeout and compare setbacks and everything else. We're getting to be that kind of point. If we're going to start doing this, and basically you're going from roughly a 30 or 40% density to an 80% density on a lot. We may have to do this.
Yeah, I know just internal discussions, like with John, talking like, and Ray, you're very intimately, the Van Newkirk, the garage, like something like that kind of situation, and like, prior to this, like, just short story, it's been a mess, the construction of this garage.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Well,
But this garage is almost the size of a house. Like,
it is legitimately a house.
yeah, it's gonna have a like dwelling unit, essentially. He's not gonna dwell up there, but it will be,
It could easily be a mother-in-law suite upstairs.
yeah.
So it'll have kitchen facilities and a bathroom, and I understand.
Yeah, it's gonna have, yeah, as long as it has a kitchen, bathroom, and a living area, it's
That's it.
considered a dwelling unit.
Yeah. It actually doesn't even have to have a separate kitchen area from the living area. It has to have a separate bedroom,
Yes,
and that's it. That's easy to do when you got it's basically the size of this, almost the size of this room, probably about 60% of the size of this room.
26
Overextended.
by 26, I think.
It's 28 by 28, I think. It's big, but It's an oversized 2-car garage with a complete building on top of it. So normally that's not an issue. We would, put that in, but now you're looking at it being a accessory structure. Now it's no longer a accessory structure, it's an ADU because you have a unit on top of it. So if it was just a garage, it's an accessory structure. Accessory structure, you could put right adjacent to the lot lines. Can't do that with an ADU. ADU had to have a setback.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why the damn thing got moved at the last minute.
Yeah, and it's, but yeah, some of the, like, things, like, leading up to that, like, soil and erosion control, like, usually.
There was no site plan or anything like that done.
No, and, like, that's not something, like, unless it went over 5,000 square feet, the threshold that would trigger, Allegheny Soil Conservation to do, a review on that, like, that's not something we would send to them. However, at this point, we're saying that's going to be a requirement of ours, that everything that comes in is going to have to do that, so we don't run into issues like that's just one.
Property lines are another good thing, having the property lines marked, because in that case, and I'm sure Tim won't mind me talking about it, he's a pretty decent guy, but he was tying in the sewer, thought that the property ran back, it didn't. Property's truncated off, kind of makes it like this kind of shape, where part of it was subdivided, went to the neighbor one time. Well, he just cut right down through the yard, got himself in a heap of trouble with the neighbor. And I don't think that's over with, by the way.
Probably not. But yeah, so, like, that's just one instance and one type of requirement, things that we likely are going to start implementing stricter requirements going forward to head off concerns and issues like that.
Which is a shame because it makes building in Frostburg and in Maryland in general more difficult than it is building in West Virginia. And right now, that's our main competitor for housing. The only reason there isn't more houses built in West Virginia is because there's not enough of an infrastructure in place to provide water and sewer. That's it. If they had actually the wherewithal to put in some regional water treatment and sewage treatment plant in Mineral County, that place would boom. We'd see no building at all in Western Maryland.
So that's just the kind of intro on the accessory dwelling unit and the ordinance that we will have to pass. But I am going to send out all of the information I have. That way you'll all be able to review that, look over that, and then we can kind of bring this back next month and look at having whether we want to vote on proposed ordinance to take to mayor and council, or if there's still bigger concerns and edits or what have you, we can do that as well.
Okay, comprehensive plan update?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot other than, at this point, the plan is essentially, or at least the draft portion of the plan is essentially complete. And they need to incorporate comments and other data that we've gotten for them. And then once we get that and get a draft plan, an actual full draft plan, then we'll be able to bring that to Planning Commission, but we'll also have to open that up for public comment as well. Now, whether they're gonna have like an open house for that, I know previous comprehensive plans in my old job, like they had stuff like that where they allow people to come in.
I think that was part of the RFP.
Yeah, and I believe as well. So I'm expecting that, you know, to get like public comment on the full draft plan. Then they'll be able to incorporate planning commission comments, any, you know, further
Yeah.
steering committee comments, and, you know, the public comments before they bring it back, for the planning commission to, recommend, you know, adoption to the mayor and council.
Conrad, did you make any comments on this stuff yet?
I did. I went through most of my comments were
Grammatical?
grammatical. Yeah, I mean, they had it University of Frostburg, they had it Frostburg
I saw that,
University,
yeah.
and a couple other variations of it. And, you know, most of mine were grammatical.
I'm about halfway through with comments. Do you want me to send them to you now, or should I wait until we bring it in front of the planning commission?
You can send it now, or what you have at the very least.
Okay.
If there's more, I mean, we can always, you know.
It's a lot. I mean, you gave us freaking book that thick, the equivalent to look through.
Yeah, no, I
There was
understand.
one that they asked, they were talking about existing strip mines in the area, and they had taken what they had in there from the previous planning commission, or the previous comprehensive plan. And at that time, there was an active strip mine, just south of Interstate 68. I don't think
Console.
that, huh?
Was that the console one, or is it the
No, it was owned by, no, I can't think of the name.
Jody?
Huh?
Vindex?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was just, but you could actually see it
Yeah.
from the highway. I don't think that one is active anymore.
No, I sent you,
You did
I
send me-
gave you a revised update. That
Oh,
was
okay.
about 10 years old. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I gave you a revised
Okay.
Yeah.
notation.
But yeah, so that's about all I have right now for the comprehensive plan, and then, once we get the draft plan, we'll get it out to the planning commissioner.
Okay. Some light reading for,
Did Hayden or Emily talk to you about the water resources element?
They did
Recently.
get us data for that,
Shoot both of them over a copy of that, because we're gonna steal some of that for 10B and 10C.
okay.
I didn't know if I could share it or not, that's why I was asking if you do it.
No, I mean, I'm not gonna be upset if you're sharing it, but,
Yeah.
I mean, you're part of the steering committee, and it's their city, so,
Okay.
but I can send that to them.
Okay.
But that's all I have.
okay. Any
Make
other,
a motion.
been moved. We're adjourned. 8 o'clock.
Good time.
Yeah. So